First up in trending this week, Nancy Pelosi's drunken husband, but I mean, who can blame someone for being a drunk when they're married to a woman as shrill as that? Paul Pelosi was assaulted, he's 82 years old, was assaulted in his home by a man with a hammer. Now, when this story first broke, obviously, everyone was like, oh my God, that's horrible. It must be like a far-right domestic terrorist that came after him. And it turns out they were right. I mean, now tell me if this description sounds like anything less than a far-right fascist domestic terrorist here. So this was an individual with multiple arrests for gay male prostitution. He belonged to a nudist compound and sold hemp bracelets for money. I mean, that's every fascist I've ever seen. That's all of them. Every right. Does that not just scream Proud Boy to you? Come on. So this story gets more and more interesting as it goes on. Thankfully, he's okay. I truly mean that. I don't want Pelosi's husband to die. I don't. I don't want her to die. I don't want my political rivals to die. We're not in a position where it's a physical civil war. I don't. I want them to get voted out, but I'm not going to sit here and root for them to die of brain hemorrhaging from some psychopath that broke into their house. And that's what it was. It was a crazy person. It wasn't a political thing, supposedly. They were able to obtain a picture of the suspect, though, if you want to pull that up. For those of you not watching, for those of you not watching on video, that's Lindsey Graham, the senator from South Carolina. Super straight. Totally straight Lindsey Graham. We like to poke fun at him every now and then. He'd probably like me to poke him in other ways, but we're not going to do that. So this story gets more and more interesting. So when the story first broke, it was that Pelosi's husband was assaulted in the middle of the night by a crazed man with a hammer, shouting, "Where's Nancy?" who tied him up, held him there for hours. Was the initial story. Then it came out that when the police arrived, he was in his underwear. When they arrived, he was a guy in his underwear. Shortly after that, they found out that both men were in their underwear, allegedly. The photos of the crime scene showed a broken glass as the point of entry. Someone punched through the window and reached in and opened the door, but the glass came outwards. So, I mean, listen, I haven't punched a lot of windows, but I know if you punch glass, it's not going to come backwards. It's going to go through with your hand with the force that's like 7th grade physics, I'm pretty sure. So there's that. So we already talked about how the suspect has prior arrests for male prostitution. So there was that. The Pelosi's have also refused to turn over video footage. Initially, they said they didn't have surveillance footage and were immediately called out on that. I mean, you really expect... The gaslighting knows no bounds. It's all about the gaslighting. You really expect us to believe you're 2 heartbeats away from being president, 2 heartbeats away from being the next president of the United States, and you don't have a Ring camera? You really expected people to believe that? The prevailing theory here is that Pelosi's husband, who we've already heard about his antics, again, this is all alleged. I don't know anything. I'm not claiming anything to be fact. Can't sue me for several $1 trillion, Sandy Hook parents. The theory right now is that Pelosi's husband hired a guy who was a documented gay male prostitute. They did their thing. There was a dispute over money, and somebody got whacked upside the head with a hammer. That's the theory. And it's okay to be gay. We don't have a problem with that. We have a problem with you hiding it and trying to paint it as your political opposition, to try to further sow dissent in this country and division. That's what I have a problem with. If you want to be gay, bro. Honestly, if I was married to Nancy Pelosi for that long, I'd probably go gay too. Probably like, yeah, that's just a bad experience. Like, you ever have a bad experience with one type of food and it was just the way it was cooked that one way, but it ruins it for you? That's probably what being married to Pelosi does for your opinion on women. I can imagine that. Totally get it. No problem there. But don't try to make this a left versus right issue. And don't use the fact that the guy ranted on his online blog about the Jews. I don't know any conservatives that hate the Jews, man. I'm not going to lie. That's not a right-wing issue. The Nazis were a left-wing party, National Socialist Party. We can go over their policies on another episode, but they were a socialist party. Hitler was a vegan art student. Again, does that sound like a conservative to you?